it's crazy that that's not always the case. So yeah, the group that you have around you is so important. And I think even me, like I have great friends, but I think a lot of it has to do with my own confidence, because I think they 100% like love me, love what I like, totally think that I'm great and whatever. Like I don't doubt that at all. But I find myself always kind of giggling or like saying like, oh, I do TikTok, like I'm posting on
Yeah.
TikTok, or like I want to maybe like get 100,000 followers, like, like, and I make kind of these like excuses or jokes, or like I just feel like I have to over explain it, So
Yeah.
do you still have that where like you approach people who, and I find that it's a lot of people that are older a lot of the times, like our parents or parents' friends, or like older
Yeah.
aunts and uncles, like they don't understand what we're doing to begin with. And then it kind of seems like a far-fetched thing. Like, do you
Mhm.
have this one-liner or like something that you say that you feel confident in?
Yeah, I think, not like a one-liner, but I know exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
especially with, like, your aunt or uncle or, like,
Yeah.
something like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Um, I think it really comes down to just detaching from the approval. Like, it's okay if people think that what you're doing is weird, and that's kind of the coming back to the owning being cringe thing. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, just owning it. I'm a TikToker, it's what I do, like, just kind of making a joke of it a little bit too,
Yeah.
especially like, make it fun. Like, you're allowed to
Mhm.
also just have fun
Mhm.
stuff too, and if someone thinks it's really weird, you're like, "Yeah, no, it's like, it is weird, but I love it." So, I
Yeah.
don't I
Yeah.
think just trying to not always, like, convince everybody that it's not weird. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
What you're doing is weird. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay. So I
Yeah.
think,
That's true.
yeah, like, detaching from the idea that you don't want to be cringy or weird to people, like, it's okay. Like, just
Yeah.
own it, and
Yeah.
because there's things that other people do that you probably think is super weird too, and, like,
Right.
that's okay. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's weird, it means that you think it's weird. It's so subjective, right?
Right.
So I think, yeah, I think that's something, but I think at the end of the day, it's how you talk about stuff too,
Mhm.
because when I was in corporate, I did my YouTube, and I never told anybody, and I remember someone found it at work, and I was in a meeting one time, and then, oh my god, so somebody, like, was like, "Oh, I saw your YouTube videos," and then
Oh.
everyone, like, brought it up. It was actually my worst nightmare come to life,
Yeah.
but
I feel that.
think it's because in that moment, I was so embarrassed about it, but if I was like, "Yeah, I love it, I'm so passionate about it, it's amazing," like, then it's almost more weird to make fun of somebody for being passionate and excited about something. It's like that Taylor Swift quote, like, never, silence someone for being excited about
Yeah.
something. Like, that's like one of
That's
the
so
worst things you
true.
can do. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, if you talk to somebody and you're like, "I'm excited, I love it, it's so fun," like, why would anybody make fun of you? And if they do, that's
Right.
definitely not a problem, I
Yeah.
think too.
Yeah, which is one thing that, like, pushes you to just keep putting things off, is worrying about that. And you were just saying how in 2019 you felt like it was too late to, like, do
Yeah.
content creation. Like, do you think that a lot of people are still doing that? Maybe just even related to content creation, but it could be more things. Like, do you think that's a big contributor to people not pursuing even TikTok, YouTube, whatever?
Yeah, 100%. I think the point I've heard that this wasn't I heard this from somebody, but it happens to a lot of people who don't wanna switch careers too, like, in their 20s and 30s, or don't wanna start fresh,
Mhm.
like, and I know you talked about that,
Yeah.
in your content too. So,
Mhm.
it's like, you say right now it's 2023 and you're thinking, "Oh, it's too late to start in TikTok or start podcast, whatever." Like, 2024, 2025, 2026, those years are gonna come anyways.
Mhm.
So, when they come, you might as well be doing something that you
Right.
love.
Right.
Because they're gonna be here anyway. So I
Mhm.
think it's not, first of all, it's not too late at all, like, specifically in the social media space. People blow up on YouTube every single day and TikTok every single day. So just it's not too late, but remember, like, those years are gonna come anyway, so might as well be doing something that you love.
Yeah, that's what I always say, the time goes by anyway, and it's the same with, like, anything, and that kinda ties in, and I saw that, I don't know if you recommended, The Power of Habit to somebody, but I saw, like, they were reading a book about habits, and they
Oh,
posted
yeah,
about you. So I didn't know if you read that and recommended it or
I did,
not,
but
but
yeah.
oh, yeah. Okay, so that kind of goes back to, like, atomic habits and just small things that you can do every day, and even if you feel like, "Okay, this is a lot to do right now," but it's something you wanna do, you don't have to go all in on it right away, like I have in the past. You can do,
Yeah,
like, little things every day, and that's what the book talks about, is just 1% differences every single day, and, like, the idea that do you want $1 million or do you want a penny or a penny doubled every day? And most people would say, I want $1 million. But in a month, it's $5 million if you double the penny every day. So that's how I think about it. I'm like, okay, you don't really realize how much it can compound to a positive. We always think about
Yeah.
all the small things, like, and how those all add up. Like, oh, I messed this up. Oh, I did this. And all of that's a big deal. Why aren't the small little things a big deal too, you know? And it's just all really the perspective. And yeah, when people wait to pursue something, you know, they're eventually going to look back and wish that they were doing it the whole time, and they won't think
Mhm.
about the thoughts of other people. So just think of yourself in the future and be like, okay, that person isn't going to care what people think. So like, why can't we just do that now? You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
yeah,
Yes.
it's definitely hard, but it's worth it. And yeah, like you said, I have done a lot of changes. And I think one of the biggest recommendations I have is just to follow that desire, because it ends up at least like itching or scratching
Yeah.
that itch that you want. Like, and you'll never wonder, or it'll open another door. Like when I started writing, I was like, wow, I really like this. And I'm actually good at it. And, you
Mm.
know, then you're like, oh, well, I kind of like coaching people about how to become a freelance writer. So then I started doing that. I'm like, wow, I really like this. And, you know, it,
Yeah.
it all just opens more doors. And also, like, you stepping into that person is probably going to help another person like you. Again,
Yeah.
I'm going to brag on you a bit. You've been that person for me. Like, you stepped into who you're meant to be. And now I am doing that. So, like, your trajectory has completely changed mine, you know? So, and even if it's in little ways, it's definitely worth it. And if that helps you make the step thinking about helping somebody else, use that. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't, at least think of yourself, you know? So, yeah, I hope that everybody listening like gets a little inspiration to at least believe in yourself, because we can all
Mhm.
do something, you know? Do you feel like a lot of people feel like they're just not like good enough, or they are just scared? Like what, because I know you've talked to like hundreds of creators, so I'm so
Yeah.
curious like what topics always come up.
I think people lack, like, a purpose, I guess. I think that's, like, the big and, like,
Yeah.
so relatable.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally relate to that, because I think we know what we want,
Mhm.
but we don't know why we want it, and I think
Yeah.
when you figure out your I could, like I'm a broken record, we're talking about your why, but, finding your why and your driver behind creating stuff helps so much, and we all need that. So I think that's probably the most common thing is just, like, I wanna be a content creator, but I don't know what to post about. I don't know, like,
Mhm.
why I even post it, so
Mhm.
that's a big thing, which is easy, like, that's an easy fix, like,
Yeah.
we'll figure out your why in seconds.
Yeah.
But I also think it's the people care what people think about
Yeah.
them is a huge thing. Um, and yeah, I think it's just also people not feeling like they have a unique value. Like it's, they like want to post, skincare or story times and all these things, but they don't feel like there's anything different about them, which is so
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, like my biggest tip for content is I completely changed my strategy in 2023. I think I'm gonna make a whole thing on this, but the one thing I did differently this year on TikTok and just in general was I made nothing about me anymore. Like my whole account was about you as a
Mhm.
viewer,
Yeah.
and I think it helped a lot because it gave me a purpose of like, okay, this is like so much more fun to talk
Mhm.
about my marketing experience and tips and tricks and like how you can build your business. And honestly, at the beginning, it felt super cringe because I'm like, I have like, such a small following and I'm out here saying, here's how to
Yeah.
become a content creator. But I knew because of I have all this experience, I know how to market something. So I think again, it's like pushing through that cringe, but just that's a tip I would give anybody is think about just one of your content pillars or a piece of your account that can be for somebody else. And it will help a
Mhm.
lot with that driver behind your content.
Yeah. That's come up a lot with me lately, because if anybody who's a creator will understand this, but if you're not, you probably won't. Basically, like, you can fall into a trap where you feel like your views have something to do with you. So, like,
Yes, yes.
it's very hard. I'm like, "Okay, people don't like me. People are swiping past me because I look ugly." Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You start, like, thinking like,
It
"Oh,
is.
maybe I should wear makeup more." Like, damn, you know?
Yeah.
So, you start to really, like, critique that. So, when I kind of look at myself and I'm like, why do I want to do this? It helps to ground me a lot. And I think about other
Mhm.
people that I look up to or learn from, and I'm like, they post and you have to start somewhere too. Like it goes back to the
Mhm.
imposter thing. Like even though you were doing that, like maybe somebody who didn't know you'd be like, oh, she's got like 1,000 followers, but she's talking about how to create an empire. Like, what does she know? But
Mhm.
everybody had to be that way. And I like to think too, like, the only person that's coming to my mind right now is Brad Pitt for some reason, but like like celebrities and everybody seem like an overnight success. They seem like they've
Mhm.
always been that way, but that's so far from the truth. And I think if
Mhm.
we even listen to one person like tell their success story, you would really connect to it and be like, "Oh, well they didn't stop. Like it was years and they didn't stop." Or,
Mhm.
so that's definitely like important to know your why and to also just keep going and just get anchored in your why and like what you believe in, because then it'll
Yeah.
always steer you in the right direction. And your why can change. I mean, mine has changed over time, and I think
Yeah.
it's just natural to change. But you're so right, like back to what I was going to say, that keeps coming up for me when I'm trying to figure out like how am I going to get more views and followers. I'm like, I have to start talking about other people more, or
Mhm.
like kind of face it towards other people, I guess. Not so much like how do you even explain what you mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like every video idea, you either make it internally or externally. And this is
Right.
a actually I would say this to anybody, like
Yeah.
do both because
Yeah.
it's in marketing, it's the outreach versus the nurture content. So it's
Mhm.
like it's a basic marketing thing, but it applies so much of this like marketing schooling stuff applies to content creation. It's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
But it's like the outreach content is like, so you have an idea that's okay, how to be more confident. So video one is outward. So it's okay,
Mhm.
here's how you can be more confident, 5 tips for you. The other video, the inward one, is here's things I do to become more confident.
Right.
So it's taking the same idea and then rotating the outward and inward
Yeah.
focus. It helps a lot because people get to know you and then they also get something for them. Um, so yeah, it's like always a
Yeah.
tip I give everybody. I'm like the outward and inward rotation for an idea
Yeah.
is helps.
We talked about that for sure in the coaching, and I wrote some notes on that. So that's what I've been looking at too is, and then I come across people who talk about like storytelling, and as a writer, I think that's where I got it from. I never like to say I, because
Yeah,
just like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's
yes,
very strange for me to like become that person who uses even like a hook and saying I used to. I'm
yeah,
like, nobody cares. But like it also seems like content and just what people are consuming now, just it changes so much. And
mhm.
like even this is gonna go a little off topic, but I was just talking to my husband about the Kardashians. And
Yes,
do
yeah,
you know who Coco Moco is?
yes,
Yes.
yes,
So she had this like theory that the Kardashians are trying to be more relatable. And
yes.
yeah, and like their whole new show is trying to be like relatable. And I just
Mhm,
think that's so interesting that people are starting to crave that and like want
mhm.
that. So even if, and that also like goes to, even if things are changing, like you can always come back to you. So I think your approach to it is like so good and can stand the test of time, because you're not depending on these trends. You're not depending on being like this aesthetic girl. Like that's why I stopped, or I didn't want to do it. I was like, I do not, nothing about me is aesthetic. Like and I hate that word. That's not like the correct way to say it, but like
Yeah,
aesthetically pleasing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like nothing
totally.
I do. Like my house isn't like that. Like maybe one corner of my office is. Like you could see all the stuff
Yeah,
behind me. But so that kind of stopped me too. But like you said, it's always back to you. And I think this is a perfect way to kind of wrap up our talk, even though I could
yeah,
talk forever about this stuff.
me
It's
too.
just to come back to you and
Mhm.
just be yourself, be cringy, be confident. And is there anything that like you feel like is coming to mind right now that you want to tell anybody listening about, specifically about like confidence and being yourself and just going for it?
Yeah, I think just this might negate our entire podcast episode, but just stop listening to what everyone tells you. Like honestly,
Yeah, you're
because
right.
like you will spiral. Like if you go on TikTok
Mhm.
and you see Gary V telling you to post a million times a day, and then someone who's more calm saying don't post a million times a
Right.
day. You just need to post once a week. Like
Yeah.
it is so confusing. So I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, just listen to yourself, and if you're posting a video and you feel resistance, you feel like this is not fun, don't do it. Like,
Mhm.
because that's a sign there's something else that you're not tapping into that is gonna be your thing.
Yeah.
So, I think just, like, listen to yourself, back yourself, and don't listen to anybody. And just do
Yeah.
your own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we're giving direction as much as we're encouraging and inspiring
Yeah,
based on your
exactly.
story, you know?
Empowering,
Like
right? Like,
right.
yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, empowering.